Good day, everyone. All praises, adoration, and thanks belongs to Almighty God, doer of whatever He wills, Lord of incomparable magnanimity, the Lord that has spared you and I since last week that we met till today, that we are now here live on the program of Know Your Rights Under the Law at the radio station of Ajisebi Oyo Online Radio and TV. My name is Abdullahi Adebayo Abdulrauf. This program is being brought to you by Ajisebi Oyo Radio TV in conjunction with Abdullahi Legal Academy. Abdullahi Legal Academy is an initiative that caters for dissemination of legal awareness to the general public. At the same time, the result-driving law tutorials for law students across various faculties of law in Nigeria. And we have been doing so many things. For us to achieve these two aims of ours. This is one of our programs. This is our radio legal awareness program. And we are also using this time to seek and to plead to you to please support us. We need sponsors. We need sponsors so that we can be able to go further with all our programs smoothly. We are very grateful. On this program, since some weeks ago, we have been discussing a topic which is known as your right to life and what you must know. And under this main topic, we have been able to explain many subtopics. And because I don't have much time today, I won't be able to mention many of those subtopics that we have explained in the past, but we have explained the general definition of right to life in Nigeria. We've explained when that right to life can be the right to life can be deprived in respect of self-defense, in respect of one's personal life, self-defense in respect of one's personal property, and we have also been able to explain so many more things. And out of those things that may make the right to life of a patient to be deprived is what we've been explaining since last 2 weeks, and it is on it that we are today too. We are on a subtopic that is known as a court order, when the court can order a person to be killed. And if you don't forget, according to Section 33, Subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution, it has provided there that a court of law can order a person to be killed if the person is found guilty of an offense that is punishable with death in Nigeria. And now, here today, last week, I've explained what is death sentence generally, and today, inshallah, I will be going further to explain what are those offenses that may be punishable with death if a person is found guilty of it in Nigeria. I've also said in the past that I have been able to pinpoint out 5 offenses that are punishable with death, but through further research, I found out that the offenses that are punishable with death in Nigeria are even more than 5. But these offenses can be categorized, they can be classified. There are some of these offenses that are applicable in all the states of the Federation of Nigeria. That if a person commits this kind of offense in the southern part of Nigeria, there is no difference if he commits in another part of Nigeria too. So either a person commits it in the southern part of Nigeria or in another part of Nigeria, it's not the question now. The question is that, has he done it? Yes. Is it in line with the law? No. Does he have an offense? Does it have a punishment, yes. What is the punishment? Death punishment. Go and kill him. Is he found guilty? Yes. Go and kill him. There are some offenses like that, that it is immaterial if you commit it in the northern part of Nigeria or you commit it in the southern part of Nigeria. Any part of Nigeria that you commit it, you shall be culpable for it. There are some offenses like that. And there are some offenses that are limited, that are restricted to some set of people or to some states in Nigeria. If a person commits such offense in that state in Nigeria, the person will be sentenced to death. But if the person commits that same offense in another state of the Federation of Nigeria, he will not be punished by death. Maybe by another punishment, but not with death. There are some offenses like that. And even in some of the states where these offenses are applicable, there is something that I can still call a kind of restriction. It is some of these offenses are even restricted to some set of people, even in that state. It is these offenses are restricted to some set of people. That which even in that state, if you don't belong to that set of people, if you commit that offense, you will not be punished with death. But if you belong to that set of people, you will be punished with death. There is another classification of these offenses that which it can require the taking of another person's life. And there are some offenses that may be punishable with death in Nigeria that does not even require the accused to kill a life. There are some offenses like that. So this classification of offenses are so much broader, are so much more that we have to explain all this one after the other. And for us to be able to explain all this, we should be taking you into what the law says, the judicial authority and the statutory authorities. What the law says about these things, about these circumstances, about these offenses that are punishable with death. And today, by the special grace of God, I will be explaining just one out of those offenses. Do not forget that I have nothing less than 10 offenses here that are punishable with death in Nigeria. Nothing less than 10 offenses here. And I'll be able to classify those offenses. According to my research, I've been able to classify those offenses. The one that are punishable with death in all over Nigeria, the one that are punishable with death in just some states of the Federation of Nigeria, the one that are punishable with death even in the state of Nigeria, but that is applicable to just a set of people in Nigeria. And there are some offenses that require a person to take the life of another person before the offense or before death penalty can be carried out on the accused. And there are some other offenses that are classified under these offenses that are punishable with death that does not even require an accused to kill a person, to take the life of a person. Once the person has been found guilty of committing such an offense or offenses, the punishment is death sentence. Now today, by the grace of God, I will be explaining the offense of treason. Treason, according to section 37, subsection 1 and 2 of the Criminal Code Act. I think I'm speaking in English now. I should be able to read directly from the primary source in English language. Okay? It says thus, section 37 of the Criminal Code Act says, any person who levies war against the state in order to intimidate or overhaul the president or the governor of the state is guilty of treason and is liable to the punishment of death. Sub 2. Any person conspiring with any person, either within or without Nigeria, to level war against the state with intent to cause such levying of war as would be treason, if committed by a citizen of Nigeria, is guilty of treason and is liable to the punishment of death. What is the offense of treason? In short, offense of treason can occur when a person or a group of persons gathers together, or a person is acting on his own, level war against the government. It may be the president and it may be the governor of a state. To do what? to intimidate the government or to overhaul the government, to compel the government, to put the government in force to do whatever they want. If a person puts the government in the position or in circumstance by which the government is terrified, intimidated, and the government is forced through the arms of war, the person has committed treason according to Section 37, Subsection 1 of the Criminal Code Act. Now, let's now say this offense, as I've called it earlier, is there and is this in Nigeria. This offense does not even require a person to kill the life of another person before the death sentence can be passed on the accused of this offense. And sometimes the accused might have killed in the process of leveling war against the government. You know, when you are leveling war against the government, the citizen of such a government is not even, they won't even have value to you, because you will be using the citizen, as a kind of hostage in order for you to get what you want from their government. But most of the times, the offense of treason may require the loss of life, and sometimes it may not include the loss of life. But either it includes the loss of life, or it doesn't. If a person is found guilty of treason in Nigeria, the penalty is death. Yes, let me see what the law says. And is liable to the punishment of death. Simpliciter. Once a person is found guilty of treason in Nigeria, the penalty is death penalty. Death penalty. Now, according to the decision of the court in 2009 in a case that get up to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court defines treason as the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of a state. When a person is attempting to overthrow the government of a state, a legitimate government of a state is there. A state here, as the Supreme Court has said it, is not a state like we are talking about Kano State, or your state, Kaduna State, state like that. No, we are talking about the state of the federation. We are talking about the Nigeria as a whole. Because according to a definition that was given to me by my government teacher some years ago when I was still in secondary school, they said a state is a body of people inhabiting a geographical entity with a legitimate government. That is the state. So here, the state that is here, the state that we can say it is here is that state is that body of people that are inhabiting a geographical entity with a legitimate government. So a state does not necessarily be, the state cannot necessarily be the state that we can say state and capital, Abia, Umaya, Adamawa, Yola, Akwa Ibom, Uyo, Anambra, Awka, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Jalingo. No. The state we are talking about here is talking about the whole country in general, the whole Nigeria, because Nigeria is a body of people inhabiting within a territory, a defined territory. Which territory? The territory of Nigeria, with a legitimate government. We have our legitimate government. We have the central government, which is the president, and we also have the state governments. If a person now attempt to overthrow the government of a state here, as I said earlier, may be the president, and at the same time may be the governor, as it has been provided under Section 37 of the Criminal Code Act, that a state governor or the president, if a person now does anything to overthrow any of them, and then such a person is caught in the act, the person will be charged under an offense called treason And if the court should find the person guilty of such an offense, the person will be sentenced to death. That is the position of the law. Let's now go further. In year 1966, scenario like this occurred, and it get to the courts because all the perpetrators that partook in the action were caught, were arrested, and were arraigned in front of the court for fair trial, and they were appropriately convicted. And everybody have right to fair hearing up to the Supreme Court. They appeal up to the Supreme Court. What did they do was that they declare their own state, they declare their own country out of Nigeria. The Niger Delta, the independent Niger Delta People's Republic, the independent Niger Delta People's Republic. So they declare that as their own country, and they form their own flag, they create their own flag, and they enact their own constitution, and they also form their own army. After they have done that, and Nigeria will not allow you to sever as a state under Nigeria, under the watch of Nigeria. You won't be allowed to sever, and they would want the government to grant them their independence by fire, by force. So they had to raise army, and they were attacking the properties of Nigeria. Uh, they have what is called the armory, and they have rifles, they have ammunition, they have so many sophisticated weapons, and they blew up oil pipelines. They blew oil pipelines, they do sort of things, and even in their atrocities, they even had to face the Nigerian police. They had to they had to engage in gun battle with the Nigerian police. And when they were engaging in gun battle with Nigerian police, most of them were caught, and they were arrested, and they were eventually charged to court, and they were charged for the offense of treason. And when they got to the court, the trial court found them guilty of the offense of treason, and they were sentenced to death. So they appealed. They appealed up to the Supreme Court of that time in 1966. What did the Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court says that under Section 37, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code, to overhaul the head of state suggests the creation of a situation in which government feels compelled to choose between yielding to force. Yes, to overhaul the government of a state means you have put the government of that state, the government of that state, the government of that country into a condition in which the government feels intimidated, and what feel intimidated to do what to and feel compelled. The government feel compelled. You are forcing the government to yield to your own decision. This is what we want. We want the government to grant us our independence. We want to create this common company. We want the government to grant us our independence. This is what we want. And either by fire, by force, the government was grant us our independence. So during this time around, they were forcing the government to grant them independence in order for them to create their own country. They were doing what? They were compelling the government. And exposing its members or public to very serious danger. And doing this, by compelling the government to do something, they are exposing the member of the citizen on which that government is presiding upon into serious danger. And if this kind of thing should occur, you are putting the citizen of a country into danger. And it is the duty of the government to provide security for a citizen, and you are putting the citizen for which that country is duty bound to provide security for into danger. and you are in as a result compelling, forcing, intimidating, overhauling that government to do that thing that you want. If such a situation could occur, the person, if he is caught, he will be charged under an offense called treason. And if he's found guilty of that offense in Nigeria, he will be punished with death. I would like to stop here today till another time that you and I shall be meeting here for the recording of our program. I would like to inform you all that we at Abdullahi Legal Academy, we are in need of sponsors to sponsor our programs and projects. That is the first thing. And the second thing is that you can go to Facebook or YouTube to search for us. Just search for Abdullahi Legal Academy, or you search for Yoruba Law class. If you are Yoruba, you can search for Yoruba Law class. If you are not Yoruba, if you can't speak Yoruba or you don't understand Yoruba, just search for Abdullahi Legal Academy. After you search for Abdullahi Legal Academy, all our contents are both in Yoruba and English. If you see any content in Yoruba language, you will see the same content in English language too. So we are doing a kind of bilingual presentation of whatever we have for you. After we've done it, after we'll be able to create the content and present it in Yoruba language, we will also form the same content and present it in English language. Just as we are doing now, we have had our Yoruba language segment here today for this topic, for this same topic, and here we are again. We are having the same topic, the same under the same program with the same lecturer, uh, with English language now as a medium of as a medium of information. So that is what we have for today. Once again, Abdullahi Adebayo Abdulrauf is my name. It's the other time that you and I shall be meeting. I wish you a wonderful legal day ahead.